Let's talk about Burlington's Victoria Mboko. She has won the National Bank Open.
The maiden of Montreal, at just 18 years of age, Victoria Mboko completes a magnificent run to her first tour title.
And you can feel how surreal this is by just looking at her reaction. The 18-year-old completing her fairy tale run with a 3-set win over former world #1 and 4-time Grand Slam winner Naomi Osaka. She just can't believe it. Mboko dropped the first set 2-6, then rebounded to win 6-4, 6-1 to solidify her rise to stardom. Mboko hoisting the trophy into the air in front of family, friends, and her coaches. It's her first WTA title. She addressed the crowd after completing the run that captivated tennis fans in this country and all over the world.
I want to thank everyone who came to support me today, Noelle, Virginie, Natalie, all my siblings. Shadi, Marian, and both my parents who are standing right behind me. I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for them. And lastly, I want to thank every single one of you who came to support me throughout this whole week. You guys were incredible, and I couldn't be more grateful. Montreal, je vous aime.
All right, and joining us live with more now is TSN's Mark Rowe. Good to see you again, Mark. This time, yesterday, you and I were talking about Victoria Mboko taking on former world #1 Naomi Osaka. And here we are talking about this unbelievable victory. Some are saying this is the best tennis story of the year. What do you think?
As a Canadian, it definitely is. But, yeah, I think it's got to be right up there. If it's not #1, it's in the top 5, top 3. And I've watched those clips and heard that interview a few times now since last night's match. And I can't stop smiling just because, it's such an impressive story. And it's beyond the aces and beyond the backhand winners down the line that we saw against Osaka. It's how she's carried herself and how she's carried herself through adversity in those matches and really fought her way when things aren't always going her way. And anyone that watched yesterday's match, that was not a Picasso for either player. They broke each other a combined 14 times. Not everything was going her way. And yet, in the end, it's amazing to say that an 18-year-old looked like the more poised veteran than, as you introduced Naomi Osaka as a former world #1 and a 4-time Grand Slam champion. So she is playing well beyond her years at this moment.
What do you think this means for Canadian tennis?
I think it's just another chapter of a Canadian tennis player who is captivating the country. Like it wasn't that long ago that Bianca Andreescu did it and won that same tournament and went on to win the U.S. Open and beat Serena Williams. And then 2 years later, Leila Annie Fernandez went on this improbable run and reached the U.S. Open final, and the whole country was watching those matches. And Felix Auger-Aliassime and Denis Shapovalov have had their success. And before that, it was Genie Bouchard and Milos Raonic reaching a Wimbledon final. So I just think it's just another great story of a young Canadian who is delivering on the biggest stage. And it's just showing tennis players in this country that if you want it bad enough and you put the work into it, you can have success as well. Because it wasn't that long ago that tennis players didn't really have another Canadian to say, that's the career that I want. I want to be just like this other Canadian who's having the great successes at the biggest tournaments.
Yeah, what an exciting time to be a fan and a young athlete. Let's go back one more time to last night, because I know a lot of people are talking about Victoria Mboko working around that wrist injury, taking on and defeating, as you said, a 4-time Grand Slam winner, no easy feat. But a lot of people are also talking about Naomi Osaka's post-match behavior, Mark.
They are, and that was the big reaction that Naomi Osaka, who struggles with the media, and she has been very public about her mental health issues. She is an introvert. She has not had the success since returning to the tour after having her first child that she has in the past, and she has struggled with struggling. But I'll take you back to just a personal anecdote. I interviewed her on court at the U.S. Open after she beat Serena Williams for that first Grand Slam title. It was one of the more awkward interviews I've ever done. She's just not comfortable in front of a camera, and I'm not necessarily trying to give her an excuse for not complimenting Victoria Mboko after the match yesterday, but I'm also not surprised that she struggled in that moment in front of the cameras, and I'm not surprised. I'm also disappointed that we didn't hear more from her, and that she didn't have a media session after the match and just gave a statement to the tour. So I understand the backlash that Osaka is getting, but again, like I said, it's not surprising given her track record and the amount that she has struggled with the media in her career.
Okay, TSN's Mark Rowe with more on Victoria Mboko's stunning victory in Montreal yesterday. So good to have you on, Mark. Thanks for your time. Appreciate this.
My pleasure. Thank you.